November 4th, 2017. A phone rings in one of Riyadh's most exclusive neighborhoods. Prince Alwaleed bin Talal, worth $17 billion, owner of stakes in Apple and Citigroup, answers the summons to the royal palace without hesitation. He expects another business discussion, maybe some royal investment opportunity. Instead, he becomes prisoner number one in the most expensive hotel jail in human history. Within hours, 381 Saudi royals, ministers, and billionaires would join him behind the gilded bars of the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton. Their crime: existing as potential threats to Mohammed bin Salman's ruthless climb to absolute power. Crown Prince's Gambit. At 32 years old, Mohammed bin Salman had already convinced the world he was Saudi Arabia's reformist hope. Women driving cars, movie theaters opening, a modern vision for the kingdom. But behind the public relations campaign, he was playing a completely different game. November 4th, 2017, he creates an anti-corruption committee with himself as chairman. Hours later, that same committee orders the mass arrest of nearly 400 of the kingdom's most powerful people. The Ritz-Carlton Riyadh, a $400 per night luxury hotel with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and 5-star service, becomes the world's most expensive prison overnight. Security forces seal every entrance. Room service continues, but now the guests can't leave. Billionaire Roundup. The arrest list reads like Saudi Arabia's Forbes Billionaires ranking. Prince Alwaleed bin Talal, $17 billion net worth, major shareholder in Twitter, Apple, and Lyft. His crime? Being too independent, too powerful, and too vocal about his wealth. Prince Mehtab bin Abdullah, former head of the National Guard, son of the previous king. His military connections made him a threat. Bakr bin Laden, a chairman of the Saudi bin Laden Group, one of the world's largest construction companies. The family that built half of Saudi Arabia's infrastructure suddenly found themselves branded as corrupt. Salah Kemal, banking mogul worth billions, founder of the Dala Al Baraka Group. His financial network spanned the entire Middle East. Khalid Al Tuwadri, former head of the royal court, the man who once controlled access to King Abdullah. Knowledge is power, and he knew too much. The pattern was obvious to anyone paying attention. Inside the gilded cage, the Ritz-Carlton's 492 rooms became cells for Saudi Arabia's elite. Mind you, this wasn't any prison. Room service still delivered gourmet meals, the marble bathrooms still had golden fixtures, the Egyptian cotton sheets still carried that $400 per night comfort. Yet, the psychological torture was devastating. Most were beaten, and some were tied to walls in stress positions as part of torture by Saudi agents. The interrogators knew very little outside of the victims' assets within Saudi Arabia and wanted to know more about their offshore holdings, while the victims did not know why they were detained. Prince Alwaleed found himself in a luxury suite where he'd stayed dozens of times before, except now the door locked from the outside. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Men who owned private jets, controlled vast business empires, and wielded influence across continents were now dependent on room service schedules and the mercy of a 32-year-old Mohammed bin Salman. Financial shakedown. Obviously, this wasn't about justice. This was all about money. Money. Massive amounts of money. Saudi Arabian authorities were demanding $6 billion from Prince Alwaleed bin Talal in exchange for his release. The settlements were systematic wealth extraction. $107 billion was the official recovery amount announced by Saudi authorities. But sources close to the detainees suggest the actual confiscated wealth was much higher. Potentially $300 to $400 billion in assets were identified as linked to corruption. The formula was simple: pay up or stay locked up. Sign over your assets or face indefinite detention. Surrender your overseas holdings or rot in luxury limbo. Prince Salman knew every billionaire, every prince, every powerful businessman derived their wealth from proximity to the royal family. Oil contracts, government construction deals, banking licenses, real estate developments, everything flowed from royal favor. By demonstrating he could take it all away overnight, Prince Salman sent a message to every powerful person in the kingdom. Prince Alwaleed's humiliation. Prince Alwaleed bin Talal was the main person Mohammed bin Salman wanted to eliminate. Independent wealth, international recognition, media savvy. For decades, Alwaleed had been the face of Saudi business success on the global stage. He owned chunks of Citigroup, Apple, Twitter, and Lyft. His kingdom holding company had tentacles reaching into every major economy. Alwaleed has courted controversy on occasion, suing Forbes for libel in 2013 after it said he was worth only $20 billion. He was proud, visible, and uncontrollable. That made him dangerous. 83 days he spent in the Ritz-Carlton. 83 days of negotiations, threats, and systematic dismantling of his empire. When he finally emerged in January 2018, he was a broken man. Alwaleed reportedly reached a financial settlement with the government before returning to his home, according to Reuters. The prince was released following an undisclosed financial agreement with the government, similar to deals that authorities struck with most other detainees in exchange for their freedom. The exact amount he paid remains classified, but intelligence sources suggest it was billions. Hotel reopens. After the anti-corruption arrests, the kingdom's top legal official said investigations revealed that at least $100 billion has been misused through systematic corruption and embezzlement over several decades. February 11, 2018, the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh officially reopened for regular guests. The marble floors were polished, the crystal chandeliers sparkled. The royal suite where Prince Alwaleed spent 83 days was available for booking at $4,000 per night. But everyone in Saudi Arabia understood the real message. The luxury hotel had been transformed into a symbol of absolute power. Book a room if you want. Just remember, if Mohammed bin Salman decides you're a threat, these golden fixtures become prison bars. Aftermath. For 80 years, the Al Saud family had ruled through a delicate balance of power sharing with other royal branches, wealthy merchant families, and tribal leaders. Mohammed bin Salman shattered that system in 83 days. The message to every businessman: your success exists at royal discretion. The message to every prince: blood relations won't protect you. The message to every minister: loyalty is measured in financial surrender. Prince Alwaleed never fully recovered his previous influence. Prince Mehtab lost his position as National Guard commander. The Bin Laden group saw their government contracts slashed. $400 billion question. The Saudi authorities claimed that amount was composed of assets worth around $300 billion to $400 billion that they can prove was linked to corruption. But corruption is a flexible term when you control the courts, the prosecutors, and the definition of justice. Did Saudi billionaires engage in corrupt practices? Probably, but so had every wealthy person in Saudi Arabia for the past 80 years. The system was built on royal patronage, exclusive contracts, and insider information. Mohammed bin Salman wasn't eliminating corruption. He was monopolizing it. Global silence. What's truly scary about the Ritz-Carlton purge is that the international business community barely protested. Citigroup didn't condemn the detention of their major shareholder. Apple said nothing about their investor being held in a luxury prison. Forbes wrote analytical pieces instead of demanding justice. Why? Because Mohammed bin Salman controlled Saudi Aramco, the world's most valuable company. He controlled $700 billion in sovereign wealth funds. He controlled Vision 2030, trillions in future investment projects. Western corporations chose profits over principles. Again. Architect of fear. Prince Mohammed bin Salman proved that in absolute monarchy, absolutely everything belongs to the crown. Your billion-dollar business empire, your international investments, your family's century-old wealth, your children's future, all of it exists at royal discretion. The 381 detainees learned this lesson in marble-floored luxury. The rest of Saudi Arabia learned it by watching. Legacy of room service justice. Today, the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton operates normally. Businessmen hold their meetings in the same conference rooms where billionaires once negotiated their financial surrender. Tourists take Instagram photos in lobbies where Saudi royalty once paced, calculating how much wealth they could afford to lose. The hotel staff serves afternoon tea, where Prince Alwaleed once sat for 83 days watching his empire get redistributed to Mohammed bin Salman's allies. Ultimate irony. Mohammed bin Salman marketed himself as Saudi Arabia's reformist prince, the man bringing transparency, accountability, and modern governance to the kingdom. Vision 2030 promised a new Saudi Arabia based on merit, innovation, and rule of law. Instead, the Ritz-Carlton purge revealed the oldest form of governance in human history. Might makes right. Power defines justice. The king takes whatever he wants. The $107 billion recovered through anti-corruption efforts? It funded NEOM, Mohammed bin Salman's futuristic city project. The forced asset transfers from detained billionaires? They bankrolled Vision 2030 initiatives. The systematic humiliation of Saudi Arabia's business elite. It financed the crown prince's transformation into an absolute ruler. Final judgment. The Ritz-Carlton purge wasn't an anti-corruption campaign, it was a corporate takeover of an entire nation. Mohammed bin Salman didn't eliminate corrupt practices, he centralized them. The 381 detainees weren't criminals who got caught, they were obstacles that got removed. The $300 to $400 billion in confiscated assets wasn't recovered stolen wealth, it was redistributed power. And the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton? It wasn't a prison for 83 days, it was a classroom where Saudi Arabia's elite learned their place in Mohammed bin Salman's new order. Room service included. Gold and handcuffs provided. Dignity not guaranteed. What's your take on power moves that rewrite entire kingdoms overnight? Drop your thoughts below, because when crown princes start turning luxury hotels into billion-dollar shakedown operations, the rest of the world better pay attention. And if you want to see more of the world's richest icons and luxury stories, subscribe right now, because this is where the legends live forever.